Okay. Compassion, purpose, integrity, vulnerability. Here we are. Session 6. Honesty, authenticity. Jesus said the truth has the power to make us free. We're talking about in God's image, what the New Testament teaches about being a man. This is session 6 of the 8-week study. And today we're talking about authenticity. There's probably nothing that's any more powerful in terms of telling a story than authenticity. If I'm invited to a trial to share my witness report on an accident, the judge doesn't want me to say, well, this is what I believe happened, or this is what I think was in the mind of the person driving the car. No speculation allowed. They want the truth, the whole truth, and definitely nothing but the truth. And when it comes to sharing my story of Jesus, the best story that I have is the story that I own, my own experience. And I think that as Christian men, the opportunity to be authentic witnesses, to tell a story of what's going on in my life and how God is a moment-by-moment reality to me, is more powerful than sharing the 4 spiritual laws or any tract or any pre-prepared argument that you can think of. I could be the most brilliant, erudite person in the world, and I could come up with stunning arguments to convince you that God is real, or that this is true or that is true. And none of that really holds much water if it's not my own personal experience. And so when we reflect the image of God as Christian men, we need to be authentic. We need to be people who tell the truth about ourselves and allow God to work in us and through us in that way, not via somebody else's story. Every week when I meet with my men's small group, either on Saturday morning or on Wednesday evenings, one of the first questions I ask is, how did you meet God this week? Share a God sighting. What is a God moment? Not 13 years ago, not the day you accepted Christ as your Savior, as important a moment as that was. How about this week? Because the story of grace and the story of living out our decision to follow Jesus is a moment-by-moment, day-to-day story. And it's the reality of that. That's where the rubber meets the road as Christian men. That's where we need to be putting our attention and telling our story. There's such a lot of false witness in the world. There's such a lot of lies being told by politicians, by people who want to manipulate us. And the simple story of God's love and the way we respond is the greatest story that is still being told. The heroes of faith are wonderful to read about, but it's our own experiences of faith. Our struggles. Be honest about your struggle. If you're not doing well, if you're having trouble talking to God, if your discipline of prayer has fallen by the wayside, if you're really not sure that you believe anymore, all of these are honest opportunities to share in the community and to allow us to encourage one another. I think it's critically important that our faith remain honest, and I think it's critically important that we are authentic witnesses to Jesus. I love to talk to people about their stories. I wrote for the newspaper in Tampa for a decade, and I went from small business to politician to artist to newscaster to local personalities to the mayor, anybody and everybody, a lot of local pastors, and I asked them to share their story. And invariably when I contact people, they'd say, well, I'm nobody important, or I don't have a story to tell. But believe me, we all have a story. All we have to do is ask the right questions, and all we have to do is to learn how to listen to ourselves. And the exciting part of that story is when it begins to interface with the greatest story ever told. And so my encouragement to you, to myself, to my friends, to the others in this small group, when we have this discussion, is be honest, be authentic. Make sure that the story you tell is the real story. We're not going to judge one another. We're going to share, and we're going to grow together, and we're going to move forward along this road which is really less traveled by. I'm Derek Maul, and I want to hear your story, and I'm looking forward to hearing all of the wonderful things that God is up to as you renew your commitment to follow Him.